Hey guys, welcome back to another top 10 video. Today we're going to go over Cad Bane's top weapons. So, have you ever wondered what the most dangerous bounty hunter in the galaxy likes to use for weapons? Let's start in at number 10, Blastech LL30 Blaster Pistols. Cad Bane's go-to sidearm and probably his most iconic weapon is his Blastech LL30 Blaster Pistol. Stored on his hips in special quick-release holsters, the pistol was more than just a 6-shooter. The long, slender barrel and the special fitted sniper scope on top meant the powerful weapon was able to not only take out targets sitting across from Bane at the cantina, but he was able to expertly shoot bounties over a city block away. Between Gunn's accuracy combined with Bane's own skills, he rarely missed a shot on lesser skilled opponents. And the gun's silverish alloy wasn't just for looks, it actually helped the gun from overheating. In case Bane ever found himself in a prolonged fight, like the time he chased Omega and Fennec Shand around a Kaminoan facility on Borovio. Number 9. Electro Gauntlets. Like Boba Fett, Cad Bane's armor and equipment concealed a wealth of weapons. His gauntlets, in particular, were outfitted with a powerful electric charge that could knock out and occasionally kill his bounties. The weapon, like many others Bane used, was especially effective against force-sensitive opponents, who could effortlessly deflect blasts from his LL30 blaster pistol. Number 8. Double wrist-mounted flamethrowers. In addition to the shock capabilities of his gauntlets, Cad Bane stored flamethrowers under each forearm. Although the exact design is never mentioned in the records, it's likely that Bane used an earlier model of the ZX miniature flamethrowers that Boba Fett later used when chasing down Luke Skywalker and Han Solo on behalf of Darth Vader. Just like the Electro Gauntlets, Bane's flamethrower was another way to get around the defensive abilities of a Jedi Knight and their lightsaber. Now once, after knocking Obi-Wan out with his Electro Gauntlets, Bane used his wrist-mounted flamethrowers to take on Quinlan Vos, who I hope that we'll see one day again in Star Wars, because we still don't know what happened to him. Number 7. Galar 15 Blaster Carbine. One of my favorite weapons that Cad Bane got his hands on, but one that never really made it into his permanent roster, was the Galar 15 Carbine. He only used it because it was one of the few weapons available to him when he was locked up. Unlike most other weapons in the galaxy, which were manufactured by Blastech Industries or one of its many subsidiaries, the Galar 15 was made by a Mandalorian company known as Concordian Crescent Technologies. Because it was made by Mandalorians, the Galar 15 was one of the best rifles in the galaxy. Jango Fett's original blaster pistols, the Westar 34s, were actually designed by this very same company. I hope Boba will pull those out one day and use them. Number 6. Knockout Gas. Knockout Gas was another one of Cad Bane's less than lethal options when he was hunting a bounty. Just like his stunners and projectile shooter, the Knockout Gas could be released almost as quickly as an enemy could pull the trigger on their blaster. And as you probably guessed, this was another one of the bounty hunter's weapons that was perfectly suited for taking on Jedi, who could deflect both his blasters and projectiles. Now, if they had a rebreather like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan did in The Phantom Menace, well, then he's kinda out of luck. Number 5. Rocket Boots. Although these might count as a mode of transportation more than a weapon, Cad Bane's rocket boots are one of the most important pieces of equipment that the Derosian bounty hunter uses in battle. Time and time again, he used the boots to survive otherwise fatal falls in pursuit of his bounties. Whether he was knocked down by Jedi like Quinlan Vos or pushed out of a tower, Bane only had to dial in a few commands to his forearm-mounted control panel to ignite the thrusters and stop himself from falling. In one fight, when Anakin Skywalker attempted to rescue Ahsoka Tano from Cad Bane, the bounty hunter's rocket boots were essential to his battle plan. When Skywalker used the Force to pull 2 lightsabers into his hands and turn them on Bane, the bounty hunter smartly opened a hatch, exposing the room to the vacuum of space. With the Jedi now fighting for their lives, struggling to find something to hold on to, Bane simply ignited his boots and jettisoned off to the safety of the ship's inner corridors. Number 4. Remote Control. Cad Bane's digital console, located on his forearm, controlled almost everything the bounty hunter owned. With a few quick clicks, he could trigger his rocket boots, cycle through his wrist-mounted weapons, and even control starships. Once, while taking on Ahsoka Tano and Anakin Skywalker, Bane used his remote control to modify the ship's gravity, causing the opponents to float in the air while they traded blaster fire. Number 3. Bola. Like any good bounty hunter, Cad Bane always has a variety of tools at his disposal. each one perfectly fit for whatever problem might arise on the hunt. One of his less than lethal weapons, and one that seems to tangle Jedi up from time to time, is his bola. Nothing more than a rope with 2 weighted balls on the end. Bane flings his bola at his opponent's limbs in order to tangle and trip them. When taking on both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Quinlan Vos, Cad used the weapon to slow Vos down. It was quite effective. Number 2. Wrist projectiles. If for some reason his LL-30 blaster pistols fall out of his grip, Cad Bane has a pair of smaller, slightly weaker projectiles stored in his wrist. He rarely uses them in combat, but when he does, they're noticeably weaker than Boba Fett's own Dur-24 wrist lasers, which are also stored on his forearm. Fett's weapons were crucial in the Mandalorian's mission on Tatooine, when he tore through the patrons at the local cantina and eventually took on Luke by himself inside of Obi-Wan's abandoned hut on the edge of the Dune Seas. It's hard to imagine that Cad Bane would opt out for a cheaper or less powerful option when outfitting his gauntlets, but his never really seemed like they'd be able to take out his targets as effectively as Boba Fett's. And finally, number 1. Cortosis Shot. Perhaps Cad Bane's most famous anti-Jedi weapon is his Cortosis Shot. If you're not sure what Cortosis is, let me quickly remind you. There are a few materials in the galaxy that are lightsaber resistant, like the Mandalorian iron, Beskar, for example, but Cortosis is more than that. Whenever the metal comes into contact with a lightsaber, it can actually short out the weapon and disengage it, meaning it'll just shut off. That's a pretty devastating attack if you think about it. How often has a Jedi faced off against dozens of enemies, each armed with blaster rifles, and survived, thanks to the ability to deflect blaster shots? Now, Vader was once fighting many Jedi in Legends comics, and one of them used a Cortosis blade on him, deactivating his lightsaber. Now, of course, that wasn't enough to take Vader out, but it definitely was a bit of a surprise. Let me know if I left any weapons of Cad Bane's out in this video, and I'd love to add them in another one, or just maybe you can elaborate on them in the comments so that everyone can see. Thanks for watching today's video, hope you enjoyed it. I have a lot of other top 10 videos for you to choose from if you so wish. Until the next episode of Star Wars Theory, remember, the Force will be with you always.